When I move with the plan and a purpose.
Press hard, but not too hard.
Word. Kanan Stark is into a whole lot of bad things. Being his best friend is dangerous.
I didn't kill nobody.
It never hurts to have partners in crime.
Now, we are getting to the stage of the season where things are beginning to start to heat up. We also Unique looking at the fire burning at the Baselli residence, and I do think that was quite symbolic of what he's been up to in Queens in the shadows, but also what's about to come over the final 6 in season 4. We're also coming to the stage of the season where all the scenes that we've seen from the official trailer and the teasers begin to start drying up, which means one thing: we genuinely haven't seen anything yet. Beyond episode 5 or 6, there's going to be a lot of surprises in store for us, which is actually a very good thing. At times during Book 2 Ghost, there were some trailers and teasers which I felt gave away a bit too much. But now we're entering the unknown, and speaking of unknowns, I think we finally may be getting the answers as to what happened to Famous. They've been building up to it for 4 episodes, well minus 1 with a flashback, so 3 episodes, and we are going to get one step closer. Although I do want to say off the bat, this is a flashback, not a new scene in season 4, it's a flashback from season 3 episode 7. Rock's also getting one step closer to building her new business venture, but will Marvin make things worse? I personally think he's digging himself a big hole, but we are going to get into all of it, including Unique, Kanan, Jukebox's reaction to her first kill, and law enforcement now making their move in all things Raising Kanan, season 4, episode 5. Now the title of episode 5 is The Nail That Sticks Up. It's an episode title that I do think gives us some clues, and I am going to come back around to the meaning of the episode title in terms of where we are with Marvin and Rock a bit later on in the breakdown. But the synopsis reads: Rock and Marvin navigate a dwindling supply of product, while Lou and Imani scout artists together. Joy's condition worsens. Meanwhile, Famous's mother desperately tries to find him.
When I move with the plan and a purpose.
Now, we've got Rock in a meeting who I think is with Quan. She's telling him when she moves with a plan and she moves with purpose. And it is true. History shows across Raising Kanan, she's someone who goes all in, and when she makes a move, she moves with conviction. She doesn't make half-assed moves, it's all or nothing with Rock. She always gives 100%. For example, when she set up the projects in season 2, she wanted to expand out in New Jersey, and despite all the problems and trouble with the Italians, despite Lou telling her maybe the right move would be to just chill, she stuck to the plan, she stuck to her guns, adapted, and moved with purpose. The same goes for season 3. Unique found it very difficult to get his organization off the ground under Quan. He had no crew, he never really had a plan, and we saw how dry business really was. But as soon as Rock decided she wanted back in after 306, she moved really quick with the Chinese restaurants and the transportation. She moved with a plan and she moved with purpose. But this battle with Quan, if she is in conversation with Quan in episode 5, is going to start to get really feisty for more reasons than one. We know they definitely ain't getting on at this moment in time, that's for sure. But Kanan also went around Rock's back to meet Quan, and if he really wanted to hurt Rock, well, I think he'll know how. So Rock leveling up, meeting the new Afghan connects, it's going to be real interesting to see how this shifts the dynamics of the other major players in Queens, more so Quan. How does he react? Now, I'm not sure whether this is actually going to be in episode 5, but at some point, she's going to have a hell of a lot of product coming in, and she's going to have to find ways to move it. She's going to have to build more systems, processes, pay more people off, including law enforcement. We all heard what Snaps and Pop said in 404. Their business is built on relationships, which was one of the underlying themes of 404. But sometimes to make money, you have to spend money, and also take a whole lot of risk. So I'm really interested to see how Rock begins to move this amount of weight. Just take a look at Ghost, for example, back in Power. When he had this shit ton of product come through from Felipe Lobos, he had to get extra Primeras and in some cases, take them.
Don't nobody give you that shit. You gotta take it.
That was one of the messages from 404, and it's what Rock has been doing since Raising Kanan. Especially with her playing in a man's world, she's gonna have to take the streets if she wants it. Although again, not sure if this is in episode 5, but just thought it was worth a mention.
Press hard, but not too hard.
Word.
Now, we know Rock still needs to deal with who's been hitting her operation. We know Damon dropped in episode 4, so anyone that thought Damon was Breeze, that theory now dies with him. But she definitely knows he wasn't working alone. Damon has never been the brains behind anything in his life, according to Rock, which is true. We all know Unique was the brains behind this hit. Although I did mention in my breakdown for 404, it was a really messy hit. In truth, there were no brains behind it at all. It was just guns, chaos, and complete mayhem. But she's tasking Marvin to press hard, although not too hard. However, we've also got a scene with Marvin pulling the trigger, and what's the likelihood Marvin goes and does something very similar to what he did to Stefano's guy out in Corona?
Uncle Marvin, my mom's older brother, they never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
I really do think Marvin is beginning to dig himself a very big hole in season 4. He's been lying to Rock and making all these moves and calls without her say so. The early Tyler one we saw in 404, this has backstab written all over it, and I think he's probably going to end up doing the same here. He's someone who's gone back to his old ways of season 1, and I just wonder whether the hole he digs himself ends up being way too big for him to climb out of. Now, in terms of the episode title, The Nail That Sticks Up, it actually comes from a Japanese proverb. The nail that sticks up gets hammered down. In the context of raising Kanan and where we are at this moment in time, Marvin's kind of running his own side hustle behind Rock's back, which she doesn't know about. He's making all these moves and all these calls without her say so. In the streets, the nails are the one who talk too much or move reckless. Why Marvin is a nail in this situation is because Rock is the boss. Her system thrives on control. She's all about control and planning. But Marvin doing what he's doing, which in essence is kind of going rogue, making decisions on his own, it disrupts that. It completely takes Rock's control out of the picture. So the hammer in this case is going to be Rock. Does Marvin get hammered back in line, or potentially even worse? That's the nail that sticks up. It really isn't looking good. Actions will have consequences, that's for sure. But speaking of consequences, let's move on to the aftermath of Jukebox getting her first kill.
Still ain't talked about what you did.
I didn't kill nobody.
Now, after everything that happened at the end of 404, things moved really quick. Jukebox didn't even have time to think. In that moment, she did what she had to do. She had to save Marvin, and that's what she did. But now we're gonna see how she reacts, which I think we've already got a bit of a hint. We saw the small smirk from Juke towards the end, and Kanan's narration did hint that this is a character who's already dead inside. So I don't think we're gonna get kind of the same reaction that we did with Famous in season 3, when the dust kind of settled with the Freddie Williams kill. But let's see what Marvin and Juke both have to say. Now, there's also no doubt going to be questions from Mara. Juke actually got the address and the information from Mara because Juke did say he's on the 3rd floor, and it is going to raise some big questions. All of a sudden, Mara's husband's dead. After everything that went down in 404, it really does look kind of suspicious. But we are going to see Juke sticking to her guns. She's going to say she didn't kill anyone. But let's see if it goes any further. It's not like Mara's going to be shedding any tears, because I do think her relationship was very complicated with her husband. It seemed as if this marriage was on the brink anyway. However, what it could mean is Mara cutting ties with Jukebox, and if she does, where does that leave Juke? She was just about getting into this new environment, making new friends, staying out of trouble, and if she loses that, on top of getting her first kill, it just leaves one road.
Kanan Stark is into a whole lot of bad things. Being his best friend is dangerous business.
Now, law enforcement have been very quiet over 2 episodes. We've not seen Garcia since 402, but he's back saying Kanan Stark is into a whole lot of bad things, and being his best friend is dangerous. As a flashback plays with Famous being comforted by his moms, which is actually from season 3, episode 7. This definitely isn't a new scene. I have definitely fact checked this one. But this situation is really strange. Famous has completely vanished. There's been a few questions from Detective Garcia, Mr. Gelfand, Jukebox, and also Imani Okoye in 404. They're all wondering where's Famous gone, and I think we are getting closer in terms of getting our answer. I don't know if we're going to find out specifically in episode 5, but Famous's moms will be looking for him, and I assume she is going to go to his best friend, Kanan. Now, I have been through a specific theory before of how Marvin could have already got rid of Famous. There was a 2-month time jump from 310 to 402. It could have happened then. I also went through the fairness theory. Stefano would have owed Marvin a favor for dealing with Tommaso, and Marvin could have come back to him to return the favor by using the fairness to get rid of the body. I will leave the link to those videos down below in the description section. Now, if this does turn out to be true, or some sort of version of it kind of plays out, not exactly, but some kind of version, something very similar. Again, was this done potentially behind Rock's back? Because Marvin definitely is making a lot of wrong moves. Now, what would be even more heartbreaking is if Marvin did get rid of him and they find out he wasn't a snitch after all. But guys, it's episode 5, mid-season. Are we about to see a major death? Will we get our answer? Now, Kanan is going to start to become a lot smarter, being mentored by Snaps and Pop, kind of listening to Crystal as well. It seems like he's keeping his stash somewhere else rather than his apartment. So definitely expect to see Kanan making a lot more smarter moves going forward. He's still making a lot of mistakes, but Snaps and Pop are there to guide him. mentor, and nurture him, mainly because they see him as a revenue stream, but also because they see someone who has real potential. And I really am interested and kind of excited to see how far their partnership goes and where they take it. Now, we've also got OC looking very worried, which probably stems from the last time this apartment was robbed. Someone knows their location, so he has every right to be worried. Who's to say it won't happen again? OC might definitely become a bit of a liability. I've been mentioning over my last couple of breakdowns, Crystal is very intelligent, and she did mention in 402, Kanan shouldn't be doing business with OC, so let's see whether he should have listened. Now with Unique, we've got him in the car where he doesn't look happy at all. It also seems like he's going to be staying in the shadows for at least maybe one more episode, unless they do surprises at the end of episode 5, and not revealing too much in the trailer. But now I'm actually thinking it might potentially be the episode 6 mark. But he is going to be making another alliance, so could this be our introduction to Phil Russo? They aren't showing who he's actually speaking to in this scene, but Teresa Boselli did give him some details of someone who may be able to help. And based on what we know, based on what we've seen from previous teasers and trailers, I do think Phil Russo is going to be the new alliance. So definitely expecting our first look at New Jersey's new crime boss, and seeing how the relationship kind of unfolds. I still don't think anybody should be trusting these Italians, because we've seen what's happened before. He was burned by Sal Boselli, but Unique has still got it all twisted in his mind, so he is going to try to continue to break her piece by piece. But that's a breakdown of the trailer for Raising Kanan Season 4 Episode 5, The Nail That Sticks Up. It's an episode where I do think Marvin could make another mistake, and could it be a real costly one. I do also want to see how Juke reacts to her first kill. We could also get our first look at Phil Russo, and will we get our answer in terms of what happened to Famous? It's episode 5, it's the mid-season mark. Are we going to get something big? And could it actually be the entire Famous situation? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.